All right, everybody. My guest on the show today is Lesley Logan, a certified Pilates teacher, habits and mindset coach, and is the founder of onlinepilatesclasses.com. She's a world traveler. She has her very own podcast called Be It Till You See It, and she has amazing guests on there. And it's a birthday girl this week, and this episode is going to come out on her birthday. I just found that out. Fun fact. So everybody listening, Lesley, from all of us who are going to be listening to this when it comes out live this Wednesday, January 26th, happy birthday.
Thank you so much, everyone. I love a birthday. I love it. And the more people who know it's your birthday, the better, because it's like you can't even have a bad day. Because every time you turn around, someone's like, happy birthday. You're like, thank you. Thank you so much.
Are you a birthday week kind of person or just a birthday day kind of person?
Birthday month specifically.
Oh, dear God.
I know people don't like that. So I will say that the pandemic kind of harping that because it's a little hard to celebrate for a month online. So now we pick a date to do a party, and when things are back to normal. So next year will be my 40th, everyone. And I used to do a choose your own
event. The vulnerability so early.
Yeah. Are you kidding? There's a shirt that I wanted to buy that says it took me 40 years to look this good. And I'm like, not yet, but I'm going to buy that for later.
Yeah.
But I used to do choose your own adventure birthday parties because I don't like disappointment. I don't like people saying they're going to come and canceling. So what I would do is I would plan like a week's plus worth of events, all these things I always wanted to do or wanted to make time to do. And I would just put them out on a list with what time I was doing them. I'm going to the spa on this day. I'm going shopping on this day. I'm going for a hike on this day. Don't tell me you're coming. Just show up. If you're late, you'll miss out. So be on time. And it was so much fun because I had multiple surprise parties that I threw for myself.
I think you're already getting an image of Lesley's personality here. She's somebody who makes it happen.
Yeah.
Whether you want it to happen or not.
Yeah. Well, when you're single, no one's going to throw you a party. So that was how I did it.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lesley. Well, thank you for being on today.
Thank you.
And we've got a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Lesley, first things first, what's something that you nerd out about besides your birthday?
Oh, I am currently nerding out about breath work like a mad person. And I kind of go through seasons. I'm sure people do, but I'm really into breath work. And before that, I was into habits because I was like, how does that work? And, of course, as a Pilates instructor, I nerd about Pilates, but I've been doing it for 20 years. So new passions.
You've been doing Pilates since you were a teenager.
I've been doing Pilates. I've been doing Pilates since college. So I guess I'm doing my math wrong. 18 years.
I was going to say, did you see my tremendous math skills? Like you told us how much.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. You're better than me. But yeah, I've been 18 years. I'm teaching for 15. So
gotcha. This is interesting because for some reason, and I don't know if you've heard this, but when I think of Pilates, I think of it as something that people that young don't do. Right. And I don't know why I think that. I have no basis for that. Well, is that true?
No, it's just your psychic abilities because most people discover Pilates when they need physical therapy. And most people don't need physical therapy until they're older or they've injured themselves. So you're right, a lot. But when kids do it, oh my gosh. First of all, kids are born naturally just doing things correctly. Like don't correct a kid's squat. It's already awesome.
Really?
Yeah. Look at babies. Look at how they squat. They're like in a perfect
That's true.
squat.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they watch their parent lean over and pick up their key.
Throw it their back.
Yeah. And so they're like, oh, that's how you do it. It's a faster way. So, but when kids incorporate Pilates into what they're already doing, it really does prevent injury. And especially with kids now, like they do one sport and like that's it. And they do it all year long. There's summer ball, there's winter ball, cross training, things like that is really good. But yeah, it is true. Most people don't learn until they're older. I just happen to be really lonely and someone invited me to a class. So
And that the thing's called a reformer, right? That's the thing that looks like a torture instrument. There's
a couple. Most people think when they look at a Pilates studio, it looks like a sex dungeon. So that's a little interesting. But
torture, some people call it torture, some people call it sex dungeons.
Yeah.
It made a little bit of both. Yeah, it's all good.
So it was created by a guy named Joseph Pilates, and he used the mat work first, and then he created other equipment. So I really try to help people understand that you can do the mat. You can be anybody and do the mat. You don't even need to have a studio or a teacher. Like this is your body can do this practice daily. But if you want more support, more help, things like that, that's where the reformer comes in, which is a little weird. And then there's the catalogue that really just like you can hang upside down from. That's like, it's really cool. There's some other things that people have, but it's a really fun practice because it never gets old.
Yeah, it looks cool. I had a client who she owned a Pilates studio in New York City. So I went to that studio sometimes and I watched it. It's interesting. It looks like it's all about the form. It's like yoga. It's like you have to have good form or it's not going to work.
Yeah, you have to have good form. And, I'm the person who really wants to help people like move, because the body will teach itself. And if we can figure out like why your gait is off or why you're not pressing to your heel, well, let's learn how to press to that and then watch it change. But if you move from your center, it's going to change your life. If you are someone who loves to weight lift, power lift, be a runner, gymnastics, all those things, the more you can coordinate your body intuitively where you don't have to think about it, the more injury prevention you have, the faster you are, the stronger you are. It's really cool. I work with a lot of athletes and that was really fun to see how they could just be more on the top of their game. But then the average person, like, we're just trying not to hurt ourselves when we're tying our shoes, every time, this one client, he's like, I threw up my back brushing my teeth. I'm like, well, I think it was something else.
I think you may need to do a little core work there, person. That's interesting. Well, we're going to talk more about Pilates as we go through here today. I'm going to move us to the next question, which is to hear about something that's inside of your comfort zone that's outside of somebody else's.
Oh, I think try new things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, it's inside of my comfort zone just to take the action of this and do things scared. I think it's outside of most people's comfort zone to do something new. Yeah.
So when you're scared, do you lean into that generally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that you're not going to see me bungee jump. That's what's kind of weird. I'm like, we live across the street, a mile away from the stratosphere, and I can see people doing crazy things on the top of the stratosphere. And my dad and my husband were like, oh, we want to bungee jump on the other side one day. And I was like, that's great. You're going to do that. So I'm less of a risk taker there, but I will, if I'm scared of doing something, to me, it's a sign that like in my business or in my life or reading something, that to me is like a sign that that's the direction I need to go in. So I totally lean into it. And I will say that I sometimes do it like I'm screaming out loud. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Like it's a roller coaster, and that helps you get through.
Yeah. Do you have an example of recently where you took a leap on something and it was a big thumbs up?
Yeah. So couple things. One is my business coach have been trying to get me to create like a higher ticket item, something that my clients had really been asking for. Because I have the online PilatesClasses.com, and we have a lot of people who've never even heard Pilates. They're just learning how to spell Pilates. And we have all the way up to people have been teaching it for decades just because of who I was lucky to train with. And so they were asking for me to create some mentorship. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And truthfully, it was just because I was scared. I was like, I don't know. What if I create something nobody wants it? Right? Like, what if I misread what they're asking for? Or what if I don't want to do what they're asking for? So I decided to buckle down, sit down for 5 minutes and write out what the program was going to be. And then we put it out there and it sold out. So, but I was scared. Like when we launched it, I really did think, oh my God, I'm going to hear crickets. I'm just going to hear crickets. And then I just had to tell myself, like, so if you hear crickets, like we're just going to go back to work tomorrow. Like it's not,
right.
So the other thing that I have to tell myself often when I'm scared is like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? And to me, that's death. So will I die? Hence why I won't bungee jump. That is a possibility. They make you sign something. But when it comes to like doing things in my business where like we moved to Vegas, like that was a total like scary thing. You can go back. I won't be dead. So I can probably figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I have a saying that I use with like leaders and some stuff that I do where it's like 2 questions. Is anybody dead? Is anything on fire?
There you go. I feel like that's the same parents think about. Is something on fire?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, as a parent, like, I'm a parent of 2 young children. Like, is there any blood gushing from open wounds? If not, let's take a deep breath. I like that, actually. I think that's a really common thing for entrepreneurs is it's got to be perfect or this launch has to sell out. And if you come from an abundance mindset, like, you already have a successful business. And you're doing a higher ticket offer, and yes, it's going to generate more revenue and serve more people. But if for whatever reason it didn't work, you just go back to the board and do it again. Mm-hmm. It's not like your business is very successful. It's not like you're like, oh, we can't pay the bills anymore.
Right.
Like, oh, I tried this thing. Let's go back and do it again. But it's funny because as I hear you, the fear, it's just an ego thing, right? It's like, what does it mean about me if this doesn't go as well as I thought it would?
Well, and that's exactly it. And I think if you feel that, you're completely normal. Welcome to the world of being human. Yeah. And I think that's also probably what kept us alive was having an ego.
Oh, for sure.
Or making inventions. But I just, the longer I'm an entrepreneur, and I really never thought I'd be one, I didn't even know what that was. I still have a hard time spelling it. I'm like, entree, how does it go?
Totally.
What are the vowels in that? But the longer I'm at it, the more I am really trying to get people to ditch perfection, take messy action. We have a saying on my podcast, like, perfect is boring. Nobody wants to be friends with perfect. And it really does help you, like, because there's like things that are mistakes happening all the time. A landing page went out when you're like, where is the word that is in the middle of that sentence? It's not there. But if you let that stuff like hold you back or keep you from pressing post or all those things, you're not going to get to where you want to go. And stuck feels worse.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on that too is, if kind of like the space you're in, if people don't buy because one word's missing, they're probably not your client anyway. It doesn't even matter. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like, I was about to pull the trigger on this thing, but then I noticed you have an Oxford comma in the wrong place.
And that's unless you're a copywriter, and then you probably should watch out your
Then if you're a copywriter and you literally make all your money writing good copy, then this would be a thing to look out for.
Yeah, but but then you can make mistakes in other places. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So Lesley, what's something that is outside of your comfort zone that is inside of other people's, besides like physical things like bungee jumping and that sort of thing?
It is inside my husband and many people around me's comfort zone to ask questions. Like, just ask the question, just like ask for help. That scares me. I'm getting better. I'm really, really am. I am. Yeah. One of the ways I'm being it till I see it is like, I'm really trying to just in every room ask a question. And this is a really funny story. I was in a mastermind with Lori Harder and Chris Harder, and they had Angeli come in to speak, and everyone, like, not everybody, but people get to ask a question. And Brad's like, we have to take advantage of, there's two of us on one business, so we get to ask a question each. So that means every speaker, we can get 2 questions in, right? Whereas like everyone else can get like 1 if they get called on. So he asked his question, or he asked me, what should I ask? What should I ask him? So I was like, oh, here's a question for you. And he goes, okay, great. And then when they came up to him, he handed the mic to me. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm just having a moment. I was like, this is like so scary to me. And everyone's like, including Angie, like, why is it so scary? I'm like, I don't want to ask this stupid question, which is so dumb when you say it out loud. Like, when you hear it out loud, you're like, okay, I heard that. I heard how dumb that was. But one of the things that since that moment that I've tried to do is, in every mastermind I'm in every room I'm in, I'm really trying to ask a question, just like, so it gets to be more comfortable. Cause I think it's just a muscle, right? It's just like, you have to get used to going, like you're going to the gym. Yes. It's uncomfortable the first several times you go, but if you keep going, it gets easier. Yeah.
I hear some therapy. I hear some inner child work here. I'm not a trained therapist, but I hear some so Lesley, when you were 5, were you told you were asked too many questions? Yes.
Oh, are you kidding? That's
of course you were.
Of course I was.
Little child
Don't worry. I have therapy tomorrow at 5.
Perfect. You're like, you know what? I was just in this podcast and it really brought up a lot for me that I wasn't expecting.
Oh yeah.
That's so good. Okay. So you do public speaking for your business. You get out. That's obviously something that I don't know if it's inside your comfort zone, but even if it's not, you're going to go do it anyway, as we've already clarified. If you had 5 minutes to speak about anything and all of us got to hear it, including those who speak your second language, which we'll refer to after the commercial break. Interesting fact. I learned something new. What would you want to talk to us about for 5 minutes, and what would you want us to do at that end of that speech?
I want to talk to y'all about prioritizing yourself first. And the reason is, I think the world is a better place if every single person has given themselves all the things that they need, so that they can go out there and generously give all the skill sets that they have. I think so many people are running on empty. They are inconsistent with their self-care. And I don't mean self-care like the spa. I mean like drinking your water, sleeping enough hours. I mean like the things that make us be living humans. And I have seen it when people actually take care of themselves first. They're so much more generous. They're not honking at people who cut them off. They're like, they're having a good old time. And I think that if we all did that, can you imagine like just how much more things would be in this world, more love would be in this world, more peace would be in this world, because there'd be abundance everywhere. You would be like, oh, I have a half filled cup. I cannot give it to you. I'm done, you know?
Yeah, I love this topic. There's a coaching tool around this. I won't go into that, but I do have a question for you, because the thing that people resist on this is parents.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to parents?
Oh, I said this the other day in a challenge that I was doing. I had all these moms in the challenge and stuff. And I said, do you know what I never have said? It's like, thank God my mom kept the house so clean. I'm just so glad she spent so little time with me, because she was cleaning the house. Like, no kid is going, oh, my mom, she always had the laundry done. They're talking about the things you did with them. They're talking about the energy you had around them. That's what they remember. So I don't remember that I had clean socks going to class. I remember that my mom or dad was really stressed out all the time, and that they were exhausted. And, exhaustion happens. It's like, I'm not saying that you're never going to be exhausted if you take care of yourself, but I really wish that they had said, hey, you know what? We're all going to go to bed at 8:00, because we're all going to go to bed at 8:00, or like, hey, it's really, I wish I had seen them model being first in their life, because I think I'd have less guilt. I have all this guilt, right? I don't even want to ask people questions, because I'm like, I think for the parents in the room, it's like, actions are caught, not taught. So what do you want especially moms with daughters or dads, what do you want them to see, or even the opposite? Like, who do you want them to marry someone who doesn't also take care of themselves? Just think about their future. And like, it's so important. I really think parents, especially because you're creating little beings that are going to be out there, adults in this world that we all have to live in. Please do that. Please take care of yourself.
Suck up. Speaking from very personal experience, they suck up all the stuff around them.
Mm-hmm. They're sponges.
Subconsciously, all their sponges, just like the words, but you said even more importantly is the energy, and we have two young kids, and the energy that you're spending with your spouse and seeing that. And so, and I will go into this just for a second here before we go to the commercial break. The checklist, or the way that we teach it in the coach training program that I'm a leader at, it's one way to do it, is the order should be yourself, your partner, spouse, whoever, your work, your family, and your friends. And a lot of people do not agree with that, because that's not really, the family part gets a little wonky. But the way we say it is, okay, I'm with you, Lesley. Take care of yourself first. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be ready to show up for others. You take care of your spouse. Then you've got the family. You've got the partnership there. Then you do work that you love and that fills you up. You're going to be more present at home if you have children, and then your friends. It's just people are going to want to be around you. And so we get a lot of people like, well, what if you have children? It's like, it's not saying that you don't put your kids first, because obviously we have a 1-year-old. If you don't put him first, he's
right.
He's I don't even know what happened, but it's like the idea that, hey, if I take care of myself, I show up for my wife, and I do work I love, I'm going to actually be a better parent for him, even though he might not be number one on the list. And we're not talking about survival stuff. We're talking about, like you're talking about, like emotional and spending time and energy and all that.
Well, it's like, it's also like, even in Pilates, we talk about quality over quantity. And I think yes, if you're a 1-year-old, we have there's a different thing there. But like when you have kids, if you spend a quantity amount of time with them, but you're tired and exhausted, that isn't better.
No, that's not better. That's not better. So I'm getting exhausted from this conversation. So we're going to take a break. Lesley, you've exhausted me. I need to go take care of myself. We're going to take a brief commercial break, go do some Pilates. We'll be right back after this.
The Talking to Cool People podcast is brought to you by Jason Frizzell Coaching. Jason works with amazing people who are looking to find and develop their passion and purpose and create their journey to wherever it is they want to go. Check us out at jasonfrizzell.com, Facebook, or on Instagram. Jason loves hearing from anyone who thinks it would be cool to connect, to be coached, or to be a guest on our show. Email him at podcast@jasonfrizzell.com or DM him on Facebook and Instagram. And now, back to some more amazing conversation on Talking to Cool People.
All right, Lesley, we're back. What do you want us to know about you that we don't know yet?
Well, I feel like I'm an open book. I share my birthday and my age, but I'm on a mission. I really do. I really do believe that more bodies doing Pilates makes the world a better place, because Pilates is a great way to prioritize yourself.
Wait, it's not, is that a marketing slogan?
No, our marketing slogan is "Do Life Better."
Oh, because I was like, more bodies doing Pilates. Like, that's catchy.
Not catchy. It's our vision. It's our
vision. Yeah.
But,
that makes sense.
So the team knows, but no, our slogan is like "Do Life Better." But I want to speak about people prioritizing themselves. I'm going to learn that word before I do that. But also,
you all need to do this thing. I'm not sure how to say it.
I'm not how to say it. Just put
I know
yourself.
the concept.
There we go. But I am, and it doesn't always have to be me that teaches people, but I really do think that when you do a Pilates practice, I'm talking the mat for all of you. Cause if you have equipment, great. But like, it is a movement meditation is time with yourself. And when you spend time with yourself, you're going to recognize, oh, I'm tired today. Well, what did I do yesterday? Oh, I'm frustrated. Like if you get frustrated in your practice, you're frustrated. That's what's going on. You know, if you're finding ease and stress. So, that's what I'm doing. And like and then there's give backs that I get to do because of the growth of our business. And I love that. I love being charitable. I love giving money to people who need it. But first and foremost, it's like, how do I help more people have this access, because they're going to be better freaking humans on this planet that I'm on, and I'm going to live a long time.
Yeah.
It's very selfish.
So selfish. Oh, what, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the business, if you'd be willing to share it with us. So this is not you behind a computer filming some videos. This is you've got employees, you're doing all sorts of stuff. So what kind of different things do you do in the business? Or like, if I was going to go buy something from you or get to know you, how can I work with you?
Okay. Super fun. You'll see when you go to onlinepilatesclasses.com that we are like children of the 80s, 90s. It is like just funness. It's like fun colors. It's fun vibes. It's happiness. It is not your typical workout website.
So you're like, you go on there and the Stranger Things.
No, but you're going to see like a 1980s, like TV playing a video, and you're going to see like, those big computers that like kids probably won't recognize, but every one of our members does. Super fun. We love to name songs after like 80s rap music, and
love it.
So and that's on purpose. It's supposed to have this like easy, inclusive, like fun vibe. We don't want you to take yourself so seriously, because perfect is boring and you're in a practice. So then what happens is I actually am an accountability queen. So we actually have created a fitness site that's very different than anyone else, because we take your classes away. Whereas if you go on Peloton or any of these other ones, it's like Netflix. You go on and there's thousands of classes. You can go back in time. You can pick things. Nope. When you log in, you just have the access to one mat class, one reformer class. If you have a reformer, there's a membership for that. If you don't, then there's just one. That's it. It's 30 minutes. We do a 50-minute workout every month, and I film that live with our members. And then they have the whole month. So if you want a longer form workout, some people do like that. You can, but if you're like, I got 30 minutes, girl, that's all I got, then that's what we put out every week. And we just take it away so that you actually show up for yourself. I'm not going to let you fail. So you don't, and we have people all the time going, oh my God, can I get last week's class? Nope, you can't. It's gone.
You're like, we have it, but you're not getting it.
You're not getting it. No. And that's on purpose, because so many people sign up for things and then they don't use it. And so I'm here to help you be successful in your journey. So I do film them. We just brought on some other teachers, so they're starting to help me film it, because I also want people to see other bodies doing it. So that's really fun. But there's a team of 20 who
that's a big online business.
It's huge. It's really, really big. My husband is the CEO, because I just can't. That's not my skill set.
You're the vision.
I'm the vision.
Idea person.
I am. I'm an ideas machine. I have a parking lot. They make me put things on. I'm not to just spat them in there. But we have people all over the world who either are working on the website constantly, doing editing for us. We have, our marketing person, our project manager, and it's so cool what we're doing, and the members that we have. I mean, I know if you're a member for more than a year, I know your name, and we have a lot of fun, and like it's really cool. I can't wait to see like Ray in New York and all these people. So we have a lot of fun. If you're we also have products. We have physical products. So I created a flashcard deck, which is really fun for my hello, elder millennials, but people older than that, it's something you can hold, and there
shows you moves and such.
So each card has an exercise on it, and then the description on how to do it on the back. So if you don't have internet, you have one, or think of it like a tarot deck. You can just pull a card and do it. And then Brad put his genius on there, and we created these in February 2020, and he put a QR code on the card. And I was like, no one knows what a QR code is. And he goes, people know. I'm like, you and your friends know. Like anyone in the middle doesn't know. Like anyone in the States in the middle is gonna be like, what is this? But then, the pandemic happened and people are using QR codes everywhere. And so people love that. So it takes you to the video. So that's what we do. And then
that's cool.
And then we do retreats. And that's what I can't wait to get back to. I really, really, really miss taking people on retreats.
Yes, I can imagine. I think we all miss being able to be like, yeah, let's just go somewhere without a mask on.
Yeah, I just want to fly over an ocean again.
Right, exactly. All right, Lesley, what do you want to ask me that I can answer for you and everybody listening?
Okay. Well, last time I really thought I had an epic question for you, and I feel like I can't ask it again. So I'm going to ask a different question.
Well, nobody knows what you asked me because that never got recorded. So see, Lesley's demonstrating in real time her inability to ask questions. You see this? Trap. We're going to create a therapeutic breakthrough in your inner child work here, right now.
You gave me full permission to ask again. Okay. You and your wife get to go on a trip anywhere in the world. Where is it? And second part, you can go anywhere in the world you want to go.
Yeah. Okay. Is this with or without children?
Without children on both.
Yeah, that's a vacation. With children, I don't call that a vacation. I call that a trip. Mm-hmm. My wife will probably disagree. Yeah. And it's got to be one location?
No, you can. I mean, I just was thinking like if there was one you wanted to do by yourself and then there's like, maybe your wife doesn't want to go.
Yeah. So if I was going to build my dream vacation with my wife, and you're going to see why this is our vacation, and you're going to see my second answer. We would likely do a Europe train style thing, hit up Asia. Like we went to France, Italy. We went to France and Italy a few years ago, which was amazing, for 2 weeks. We went to Venice, Rome, Florence, Paris before we had kids, because that's what you do before you have kids. we would want to do we would probably do most of Europe. We've been to Norway together, been to the UK. So I would want to do a Scandinavia down through Eastern Europe. Never been to Eastern Europe. So I'd love to go to Poland.
Poland's amazing.
Yeah. I've heard Poland's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then I'd want to do the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Although I've been to Israel, she never has. I would like to go to Israel again. Israel is, I don't know if you've been there, but Israel is unbelievable.
Brad you have to ask, when you talk to Brad, you'll have to ask him about this. He got invited to go speak at a company in Israel.
In Tel Aviv?
Yeah.
Tel Aviv is one of the coolest cities in the world.
Yeah,
Tel Aviv is unbelievable.
He was at Monday.com, invited him when our team was 5 people. And they're like, sir, you use the program really a lot. Why don't you come and speak? And so they flew him out to Tel Aviv. His suitcase was lost, so they actually had to take him shopping so he could have clothes to speak to everyone. And they made a whole commercial on YouTube about how we use Monday.com. He was there, and then a woman who's the CEO of a 5,000 person team.
She's like, so when's your next board meeting? You're like, well, it's my wife and I and our web developer. That's amazing. But you obviously know how to use. I know Monday.com. Maybe we can get them to sponsor this podcast episode. Well, I know. Monday.com. Well, but no, you obviously must be a power user. Well, especially in the sort of business you're in, you need a lot of project planning. It's all project based.
It's all project. Everything's project.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to your trip. I love it. You'll go Poland, Eastern Europe, and then you're going to go to Mediterranean and Israel. That's amazing.
Yep. My trip's going to be very different. I'm going to go to the new Star Wars. I don't even know what it's called. It's the 2 or 3 day thing where you go into it's a hotel, but it looks like a spaceship. And then you're there for 3 days. It's like you're on a Star Wars cruise in space. So
right. And you don't leave. You don't go back outside. No. You're in.
No, they have then they have Jedi and stormtroopers. And
I wonder if it's Vegas and you just don't know what time of day it is too. You know what I mean?
I think it launches in a month or so. And my understanding of it is you're treated like you're going on a space journey. So like you go to like the spaceport, which is obviously not really a spaceport. And as you enter this hotel or this experience, it's like you're on a spaceship for 2 to 3 days. Like in the Star Wars universe, it's supposed to be phenomenal.
You and Brad have to go. I'm just going to make him be your date.
you would get along great with my wife, who you can listen to our episode from her episode's like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
She would be like, no, I don't know who any of these people like. Who are like I know who's the Mandalorian. I'll be like, no. Or like, who's that guy in the black mask? I'm like, that's Darth Vader. Do you know him? Yeah. She'll be like, eh.
I went and saw one of the Star Wars at the Greek. I think it was the Greek in LA. Mm-hmm. And I was like, when does the guy like crawl out of an animal? And he goes, not this movie. It's not in this movie.
That's an Empire Strikes Back.
And I was watching the one with the ugly fat guy.
Jabba the Hutt.
Yes, and then those like little guys. Those little guys were really cute.
Yeah. So yeah, you and my wife would get along very well. So that would be the first part of that trip. Mm-hmm. The second part of the trip would be Star Wars, the Star Wars Galaxies thing that's available now, the amusement park, and I would pay for the VIP thing that's like I have a client, she's in travel, and I was asking her, it's like you can get Disney VIP down in Orlando. It's like $4,800 a day. It's insane.
Oh my.
But you basically don't have to wait in any lines, and they like zip you around and they like take you behind the scenes. Like I would spend the money.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you're going without kids and you're, first of all, it's only you and it's VIP experience. I'm sure it comes with a bunch of other things. And
it does.
Also, like I am to the point where it's like, I don't want to stand in those lines. Like I would rather just save up the money and just do the thing so I can go have the full experience and not be like, why is this couple still making out in front of me in line? Why are they still doing
exactly. Exactly. I have a caveat on this trip. There's one trip I would take before any of these other trips. If my beloved and forever not winning Minnesota Vikings ever make it to the Super Bowl, I will pay any amount of money to go to the Super Bowl to see them play. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. It's actually never happened in my lifetime. They went to the Super Bowl 4 times, all before I was born.
Wow.
It's never happened since. But that would be the trip that would be my ideal trip, not because of where it is, but because of the event. Yeah. I would love to go to the Super Bowl someday, but I'm not willing to pay the prices unless it's my team.
I have a girlfriend whose company is like the preferred provider for like the camera booths. And I said, do you need some employees? I will happily W-2 for the weekend.
Yeah, you're in Vegas. Isn't the Super Bowl in Vegas soon?
I think so. Years? I think so. Yeah, yeah. My father's trying to convince me to Airbnb my house by then, and I was like,
I'm with your father. You're with my wife. I'm with your father. All right, those are awesome questions. You're giving me some wanderlust right now. I'm like, travel.
Yeah.
All right, Lesley, what are you passionate about? Just a couple things.
Oh, so many things. But right now, we are extremely interested in working with, we're got 2 things we're working with. We're helping a social enterprise that supports adult kids getting adopted, or
adult kids,
older kids, like elder foster youth. Mm-hmm. So because if you don't know, if you live in the States, more than 50% of our homelessness problem is kids in foster care that age out. I didn't know that. Yes, more than 50% of your homeless is a person who was in foster care. So because no matter if they're still in high school, once they turn 18, whoever's foster caring for them is no longer paid to foster care for them. And that means they might not actually be able, no matter how much they love them, might not be able to support them, right? Because it's not like, rich business owners are fostering kids. So, this social enterprise, they're really awesome. And so we are collaborating with them, but I am loving raising money and trying to figure out how we can do different things. Like they also do like fosterpreneurs. So like Brad and I are like, how can we coach kids on our time off on how to create a business? Because if they have business skills, if they know how to start a business, then they are they don't have to rely on anybody. And that's what's really cool. So there's different ways we can work with them, and that we're finding like, this is my new hobby. I'm like, in my free time, I'm like, okay, so do you need me to talk to him on Saturday? What's going on? And then the other thing that we're really passionate about is we talked about my retreats earlier. I love bringing people to Cambodia because I think people need to see parts of the world like that. It's not your France or your Italy. It's not the most beautiful European vacation. It is a third world country in Siem Reap where we have a house. It's very safe. And we met a girl in 2018, we were on a retreat and this little girl comes up to me and she speaks to me. She's trying to tell me something. She speaks to me in English and I spoke back to her in Khmer because I thought I'd be slick and she'd think maybe I'm an expat and not want me to buy anything. She's too sly for that. She kept talking to me in English to get me to buy stuff. And then she looked at my retreaters and she spoke to them in Spanish. Now I cannot switch to Spanish without Spanglish my way through. And she switched that. They actually thought they were being sneaky and spoke to her in French, but they didn't know that French is the second language in Cambodia. So of course she speaks them in French. And then I just said, what other languages do you know? And she starts talking in Mandarin. So she's 9 years old, speaks 5 languages.
Wow.
What did you do today? Right.
Yeah.
What did you do today to
I'm
sell?
guessing she didn't use Rosetta Stone to do that either.
No.
Or Duolingo.
And so I freaking loved her. And I was like, hey, hon, why don't you put your sales down with somebody and come and do this tour with us? We're not going to buy anything from you, but we'll do this tour. And she said, no. And she had such an attitude, she's like, it's not a good day for business. And I just loved her attitude. I just loved how she knew how to use the English language, had so much sass. And I couldn't find her. I tried to find my tour guide, tried to find her. I tried to find her because I was like, we should just pay for her school because the average educated Cambodian is 6th grade. And I was like, if she's selling at the markets, that means that her parents don't have the money to send her to school, too long. Yeah. So couldn't find her. And then March 2020, yep. We were in Cambodia then. We went there in February, and then our retreat was March 8th to the 13th. Yep. So March 11th, World War Who said it's a pandemic. And I'm like, oh, I've got a bunch of people in a third world country. Got to get them home. But we went out to the temples and we went to this random bathroom that we never stopped at. And I come out and Brad goes, Lesley, I want to introduce you to someone. And I was like, oh, Srey Lynn, which means Lady Lynn. Her name is just Lynn. But she called herself Srey Lynn. And there she was. We found her. And
amazing.
Our tour guide got a hold of her and the schools are back in session and her parents agreed to let us support her in the Western schools, which is an Australian school there. Sure. So she can keep her education up. And so I'm just really passionate. We don't have kids, obviously. You can hear all the things I'm doing. I'm like, not someone without kids, but I really am like, how do I help the kids that are already on this planet do more with their skill sets? Because again, it just makes the world a better place. So
that's amazing. Yeah. That's so cool, man. We'll talk about impact.
Well, trying,
humble,
trying. Well, you've seen my strength finders. Humble is not in the top 5.
No, not the top 5. All right. So what's the thing that you're most proud of in your life?
Well, this is also not in my strengths. Bragging is, you know what? I'm actually going to say that I'm really proud of what I've been able to do given what I had surrounding me. Not that my parents weren't great people, not that I didn't have a decent family, but I didn't come from a place where people made more than 50,000. I didn't come with examples of women running businesses. I didn't come from examples of people running businesses, and somehow, even with all the advice of my family, just keep the job in retail. It's really safe. I have been able to create a company that supports 20 people around the world as a full-time job and helps people feel really good about themselves. So we're actually able to help both sides of the spectrum and, not perfect at it, but I'm really proud of what we've done and I can't wait to see how we continue to do it. So thank you for letting me think about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Speaking of therapy.
We like to say it's like laundry. Do it regularly.
I was talking to another guest and did you watch The Sopranos? Or do you watch The Sopranos?
No, I need to get on that, but I feel like I missed the boat.
It's funny. Well, the funny thing, I was reading an article about how The Sopranos it's on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. It's really big with the younger generation now for whatever reason, because of the pandemic and people are home more. Yeah. It is known as one of the greatest shows ever. But Lorraine Bracco, who plays his therapist, you've probably seen pictures of her before, right? Named Dr. Melfi. She's his therapist and she's just, I was going to ask you this. She's just like, what's something you're afraid might be true about you? She's like, no emotion. And Tony, James Gandolfini's Tony Soprano, got a lot of emotion. He's a big character. So I was going to play the Dr. Melfi, but you don't get the reference. So I bombed here live. So let me just ask you as Jason, what's something that you're afraid what's something you're afraid might actually be true about you?
Well, being a narcissist is always a fear.
Mm-hmm.
Always the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because when people work for you and your brand is a personal brand, it just starts to feel like it's always about you all the time.
Yeah.
But because I worry about that, I think that's the definition of not being one. So I think that might be me answering it easy, like getting an easy out on that. But
I think you know me well enough by now to know that I will not accept the easy answer here.
Something that I like get a little, I often worry that like I will have enough in the tank to get me all the way, but to the finish line. Like that is like like so much so that when I am on a run, I don't even let myself walk early. I'm like, nope, it goes to that. Like I'm trying to like this, speaking of be it till you see, I'm like trying to like be the person who finishes the thing, because I do sometimes worry that sometimes it'll get so hard that maybe I'll be like, maybe that was all, and I'll give up too soon. So that's something.
This is so perfect to follow up with the second part of this question. So what is it that you do to compensate for that fear? I know.
You do? You want to tell me what it is? I'm like,
no, I want to hear from you first, and then I'll tell you what I think.
I think I'll do more. I'll do too much. I had to take myself out of a CEO role so that someone else could delegate for me.
Yeah. I think that's part of it.
Yeah. But I will say there's 2 points. I do get really good at hiring for things that like, this is a terrible way to say it, but are below my pay grade. So like,
sure.
I am much better at like, I have a bunch of people who do a lot of things for us and we pay them very well. And I'm very excited about that. But if I can find someone with better skill set than me, I will let it go.
Yeah.
But I will say like, I am not the best delegator. So I let other people do it.
That's part of it. I think the second thing I would say, and by the way, this is not about you specifically. We all have lots of things that we're afraid might be true about us. And then we have ways we compensate for those things. Yeah. I think for you really lean heavily into the personal development space, specifically like habits and mindset and accountability. Like those are ways to hold that back, right? Like I'm afraid that I can't finish. I'm afraid I'm not a good finisher is basically what you said. Okay. Yeah. So how do you become a good finisher? By creating accountability. Yeah. So and again, it's not some of these answers, it's like, oh, but like yours is great because you've actually, what I'm hearing is you've put in place structures to support that thing that might be true about you. Mm-hmm. And maybe it is true or used to be true. And you've actually generated through that and developed the skill set to not have it be true. And yeah, like I think this is the very, very common thing. I know you talked to a lot of entrepreneurs on your show. Most entrepreneurs aren't that good at finishing things because they wouldn't be entrepreneurs. Right. Because entrepreneurs by definition are like, let's ideate. And I've got these things that the world's never seen. But most entrepreneurs I know that aren't like software engineers aren't generally the person who's going to go into Monday.com and plan out projects for 18 months or something. No, you've got to have those people. Yeah, no, you're so right. And it's like, I love that you pointed out that it's like, there's accountability in every single thing that we have for our clients, our customer, because I'm like, I won't let you fail. Yeah. And so I think it's practice for me. Well, I was going to say, there's a fun saying, you probably know this is spot it, you got it. So you probably see in your clients, like if I was there, I would probably be the person who would want to I'd want to move on to the next class. I want to do this. You're like, I know what that's like. Yeah. We all have those things. Like we only generally spot the things we've got. The things we're afraid are true about us is the thing we spot in others. Yep. Yeah. Awesome. So Lesley, as we start to wrap up here today, I'm curious, how do you see the world?
I see the world as a place full of more love and possibility than we give it credit for. I think there's so, like, if you're listening to this, like, there's so much possibility in this place. Like, it's kind of crazy. I mean, to think about the fact that you're born at this time and you're alive in this, like, there's so many more options for all of us than we're ever, like, I couldn't do what I'm doing right now in any stretch of the imagination if I was born 38 years before this. No. So there's so much possibility. And I think that I love seeing the world that way because it just makes it like every day is a new opportunity to do something.
Yeah. I forgot what I was watching. Oh, what show was it? And it was there was like a whole string of things that they said, and then the person, it was a comedy, and they're like 5 years ago, none of that would have made any sense. If you think about it, 15 years ago, like, I'm going to go on a podcast,
right,
and watch somebody on video, and we're going to talk about owning an online Pilates business.
Yeah.
And how we run, like, none of that is even a thing.
Yeah.
I think podcasts were invented about 15 years ago by Apple.
Mm-hmm. I think you're probably correct. I was just talking about a time when I was like having some fear, and I was like, there wasn't podcast to like be in my ears all day to tell me what I know now. But you know, and I also think like there are parts of this planet that still don't understand the world that we're currently in right now.
Sure.
I was just home for a funeral, actually, which is very sad, but I was there and people are asking what I'm doing. And I don't know that I know that I have an impressive life, but like to them, it was like foreign words. Like
Sure.
To a lot of them, they're like, wait, what do you do? Like, how is that
possible?
Yeah.
You don't have a boss?
Yeah. And I, I'm just so grateful for the opportunities that landed me where I am, so I could see that this is true. I'm grateful for the James Altucher podcast, because that's when I learned about entrepreneurs. And, it's so true. Like, we live in an interesting time that when I was a kid, we had, when you could get a computer, right? When that finally happened, it was like more of my high school years. I still had a phone on the wall.
Sure. Absolutely. Oh yeah. And a little caller ID box. That was a cool thing. You had to pay like $10 a month.
Yeah, we didn't. We actually didn't do that. We screened the calls. We weren't allowed to answer them because we couldn't afford the $10.
Yeah, I had to pay for it myself out of my own, like.
But do you remember like Star 69 and all those things?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, those are my favorite.
Star 67, I think, blocked it, made it anonymous. Yeah. I might have used that. All right, Lesley, I want to thank you so much for being on. And I'm so excited to wish you another happy birthday, because when people listen, it's going to be only 2 days from now, which isn't always the case on this show. So how can people connect with you, connect with the business, get to know more about what you're up to?
Yeah. So I love Instagram. It's super fun for me. Lesley.Logan. I spell Lesley. And if you want to talk about Pilates, get information about that, go to onlinepilatesclasses.com. If you're like, I'm unsure about the Pilates, that's weird to me, then my podcast, Be It Till You See It, where Jason's actually coming out in 2 weeks.
I am.
Yeah.
We had a fun conversation. Thank you. It's, as a brand strategy person, you're always like, where are your people? I'm like, Lesley's people are definitely on Instagram. Like, that's where all of your perfect clients live. Like, they're not on LinkedIn, like scrolling articles about, I mean, they probably like that stuff, but your people are like Instagram people.
They're on Instagram.
Instagram is a fun platform. I love Instagram too.
It's just a happy place.
Yeah. All right, Lesley, last thing. Leave us with some additional words of wisdom, because you've already given us a lot, but short, sweet words of wisdom for today.
Oh, perfect is boring.
I knew I liked something about you. I like that actually better than what is it? Perfect is the enemy of good. I like perfect is boring.
Yeah, perfect is boring. It's just boring. Nobody, like when I said it earlier, nobody wants to be friends with perfect. Like, think about when you have to go to someone's house and it's perfect. Are you excited to go into this pristine house where like,
no.
You're like, do I have to take my shoes off? Are my socks clean enough for this place?
The other thing I'll leave us with on this, and I love that. I'm very much the same way, is perfect is usually a context.
Yeah.
It's not generally factual. I mean, there's a few things that athletics, you could say, hey, like the figure skating, gymnastics, like that's the perfect thing. But most things aren't perfect. Like when you say, oh, that's perfect, that's usually very subjective.
Yep.
Yeah.
So somebody's perfect might be somebody else's, like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
That's a dumpster fire. All right, Lesley, thank you so much for being on today. And we'll have you back on again soon to catch up and see her. We'll talk about entrepreneurship and everything else.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Bye. Yay.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Talking to Cool People with Jason Frizzell. If you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and give us a shout out, or take a moment to leave a review on iTunes. If something from today's episode piqued your interest and you'd like to connect, email us at podcast@jasonfrizzell.com. We love hearing from our listeners because you're cool people too.